Los Angeles is also a great place where filmmakers from all over the world can meet and exchange ideas. This usually happens at different types of forums, such as awards and festivals.
What do you say? I want you to be my VP. I want you. You're my vice. Well, George.
Adam McKay is a screenwriter and a director, an Oscar winner for co-writing the script of The Big Short. He has a few other nominations for the same title and for his next one, a movie dedicated to the career of Dick Cheney, Vice. Before his last two satires, Adam has a lot of experience in comedy, as he has been working for many years with actor Will Ferrell. He has also been part of the emblematic TV show Saturday Night Live.
Hi, Adam. Hi, my name is Stanislava from Bulgaria.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you too. I gotta tell you, you have a very unique signature as a filmmaker. I'm sure you know that very well. Tell me a little bit more about developing Vice, because it's quite a challenging story, I think.
Yeah, well, you know, it was a challenging story in reality. I mean, the actual story is so challenging and large, yet at the same time obscure and small, that we really wanted to kind of try and embrace it in a way that you usually wouldn't. And, you know, the big thing for our team was that we didn't do a traditional biopic, that we played with that form to keep the audience engaged.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, you know, the big thing is we knew that we were breaking some rules. We knew that we were playing with that form, but that was the idea. So, yeah, that was kind of our approach to it.
Was Christian your first choice for the role?
Yes. When I was writing the script, I knew it had to be Christian. That's the guy I wanted to see interpret this mysterious enigma, Dick Cheney.
And he did an incredible job.
Oh my God, I think it's one of the great performances. I felt honored on set to even be around it. It was amazing.
You do a lot of, I would call them brave stories, and you attract some big names to your project. How does the two go together, and how do you convince those people to be part of it?
You know, I think a lot of the actors, a lot of the great filmmakers are really excited by stories that have a vibrancy to them, that relate to the world we live in. So the trick is, you know, when you're doing these movies, you want them to feel relevant and alive to these times, but at the same time, they also have to have compelling characters. I mean, I know Christian and Amy Adams and Sam Rockwell, and these people were drawn to it because of these compelling characters.
Why did you become a filmmaker? What kind of stories did you want to tell?
You know, I grew up in that age, that explosive age of the 70s and 80s, where there were just great movies being made on all levels. And I was a fiction writer as well. I knew I wanted to tell stories. And the movies that always moved me the most were ones that were artistic interpretations of our current world. So I was moved by filmmakers like David Lynch and, of course, Fellini and these abstract filmmakers, but they always had a connection to our contemporary world.
America wants this war to end quickly.
Where's this all going?
Are you talking about the atomic bomb?
Send a message loud and clear.
It is with great pleasure that today on Cinema Confidential we welcome filmmaker Francis Gregory O'Toole. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
O'Toole, a pleasure.
Well, since your surname is O'Toole,
Yes.
we kind of have to start from there.
There was a lot of actors in my family.
Yeah.
So my father was an actor. I have cousins who are actors. And I think I just grew up surrounded by a lot of very talented, creative people who are also a bit crazy.
As all artists are.
Well, but when you're young, you don't realize that that's not normal. So I was, for example, walking along the street with my father one day by the River Thames in London, and a slightly rusty white Jaguar pulls up with a guy with kind of wiry orange hair and big glasses and a very mysterious, dark-haired woman next to him. And this voice says, "Hello, Stephen." And it was Michael Caine.
Oh, wow.
Because they were very good friends. My father shared an apartment for years on the King's Road with Terence Stamp. So I think I was at the airport one time and I think Joan Collins pinched my father's backside. So you just grow up thinking that all of that's normal because you don't know any different.
Yeah, of course. So you kind of had no choice but to go into that industry. Did you ever consider doing something else?
In fact, I did everything possible
Not to.
not be an actor. I did as an angry, rebellious young man. So I knew I was creative and I couldn't help that. So I did every other business in the creative field. So I had, for example, I was a music producer. I had a music production company. We did things with everyone from Eminem to some of the guys from Nine Inch Nails, to Gary Newman, to all kinds of people. We had all kinds of, I had nightclubs in London and New York and LA, all at the same time for many years. And we had live bands performing and live performances. We did fashion shows. I owned fashion stores in London and LA, here on Melrose, just up the street. And we had our own fashion brands that we made. I wrote for some magazines. I did everything possible creative to avoid being in film, television, or theatre.
But
Putting on nightclubs, you start managing the DJs and putting them on in different clubs of your own and of friends, and then you start managing the bands that are playing there. And then once the bands say, okay, well, can we get a record deal? You say, okay, we'll make a demo and you record a record, but then they need a music video. So after producing several music videos,
which is kind of like film production.
very similar, directors who I produced the music videos for said, "You're completely out of your mind. I've never met anyone so crazy. Could you please come and produce our movie in Hollywood?" And for many years I said no. And then finally I said yes, because I realized that in film I could do all the things that I loved creatively, from writing. I was a comic book artist for years, so storyboarding, drawing, painting, building, sculpting, designing sets, doing the music, the score for movies. But I became full-time here in early 2007.
So what was the first project that you did moving full-time to Hollywood?
Well, a friend of mine who I'd helped him out on some of his movies in the UK, he had a friend who was a director, a British director, who moved over at exactly the same time as me. And he said, well, I'm making this movie, but I think I need some things. And I said, well, what do you need and when do you start? And he said, well, basically everything, and I start in 3 days.
Oh my God.
So from nightclubs and music videos, I had the reputation of being the guy you call when you need 3.5 armadillos in 20 minutes. Most people can...
That's very cool. I would love to call you if I need 3.5 armadillos.
Well, anyone can get you 3 armadillos. It's the half that's tricky.
And fast, I am sure.
20 minutes, that's it. So, so basically, I got him all his props, and then he needed some locations, and I just happened to have bought a row of houses in Hollywood at the time, and I had my contractors in there renovating them, and he said, I need a horrible, bombed out, sort of 60s nasty motel room in the desert, and then I need a bathroom where I can murder someone. So I rushed in and I said to all my contractors, stop! Stop, it's perfect.
Somebody needs to be murdered here.
It's horrible, leave it, come back in 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I know they make a lot of films
everywhere.
In Georgia and, in Eastern Europe and in Canada and whatnot, but you have to be here because it's the people you bump into here.
So you have no regrets for actually pursuing what was, going to be your career anyway.
Well, it's true. I mean, I feel like I've been on vacation, on holiday since the minute I got here. Not to say that we don't work very hard. I work every single day. I work all day. My other half, is sometimes we're watching a movie or at home relaxing, but a phone call comes in and suddenly you have to move. And we just finished a shoot for charity for 3 days at my movie studio here. And everyone worked for free because it's to raise awareness about child sex trafficking.
Wow.
So that's being submitted for Oscar consideration. Everything that I love doing, it happens anyway as a natural byproduct of what I do professionally. Outside of film, I think what I love doing is being in bed by 8 p.m. with a hot chocolate. And that's wonderful.
It's a hot chocolate. You didn't say scotch, you say hot chocolate.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs. I focus on my other vices.
Okay.
Mr. Allen has taken care of everything.
If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been married?
21 years.
Your husband must be a very lucky man.
Everett? Everett, is that you?
It is with great pleasure today that on Cinema Confidential we welcome our guest, Eloi Moli. Correct?
Yeah.
I didn't get it wrong.
Perfect.
You are a DP, cinematographer, photographer. What am I missing?
Nothing.
That's it? Okay. that's enough, I think.
I
pretty
think so,
much
yeah.
A lot. When was the first time that you felt that you had some sort of connection to taking photos or to moving images?
Okay, I started with the photography when I was 9. I did like a workshop in the school that was black and white lab. And when I saw appear an image from a white paper, I was like freaking out that I convinced my parents to organize a lab in my room, in my house. When I was 17, I was a trainee on a movie. My work was to keeping a public phone available for production. It means I was spending, during 2 months, 12 hours a day pretending that I was on a phone, a public phone talking, to be able that when the production person needed was free for him or for her. Mm-hmm. No? And when I was 18, I started film school in Barcelona. From there, I was started in the business industry as a trainee, and then I grew up till a DP.
How do you combine living in the States and Barcelona?
I moved here 8 years ago. When I moved here, The reels here and there are completely different. Like the style in Europe, it's like more, less saturated, less brighter, more arty house than here.
More
Here,
dark and tragic, usually.
yeah. At the same time, more interesting too. You have
Yeah.
more freedom. Here, everything is bright, everything is colorful, everything is
Smiley.
smiling. When I arrived here, I had the problem that my reel was too dark for here, and now when I'm moving my reel to Europe, it's too bright there. And combining both places is not easy, but I could find a way where my style works in both places. When I'm here, I'm shooting more brighter. When I'm there, I'm shooting more darker. That's my approach.
First big project, a project that you were more attached to than others?
Well, my next project, it's probably my biggest project. I'm gonna be shooting with Gabriele Muccino. It's an Italian director who was living here for 14 years. He shot 7 Pounds, Pursuit of Happiness, Last Kiss. Like, it's a big, big director.
And from the previous ones, which one is, I guess, your kind of stepping stone into cinema?
Well, it's not easy for a DP to get the first job, no?
Yeah.
In commercials, or like once you are in commercials, if you want to shoot beauty, or you want to shoot car commercials, or you want to shoot, like every time that you want to try another kind of commercials, it's difficult. It's the same with the movies. The first movie, it's really difficult to get it because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of responsibility and everything, and sometimes it's not easy. The first movie that I shot for free.
Yeah. We all do that a lot.
Actually, I was putting money
Yeah.
on the movie. And we shot it in Argentina. The director was a really good friend that we started shooting commercials in Barcelona, and then both of us arrived to the States together. He was living in New York, I was living here, but our career was together at some moment. And that was my entrance on the movie wall, no? As a director of photography. As an assistant, I shot a lot of movies before as an assistant. That is completely different. And that was my first one. From there, I shot another one here that was super arty, super low budget. From that one, I shot the one in Bulgaria, and now I'm shooting this one.
How was your experience in Bulgaria? I have to ask you that.
It was really nice. It's Europe. You have more freedom. The problem was that the main actors get mostly more than half of the budget of the movies. Which means the movie was, at the end, more smaller than what we thought at the beginning. And we had to shoot in 3 weeks. That was like really tight. Means when you see the schedule during the day, it's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
But we managed to do it. For me, what is really important with the directors is all the prep. If you have time to do a good prep, the shooting goes really well. If you don't have time to do a good prep, the shooting can be a nightmare.
¿Qué tipo de historia le gusta contar?
Yo me dedico al cine básicamente para cambiar la forma de ver de la gente. Me gusta, igual que a mí muchas películas me han hecho cambiar, lo que me gustaría es que con las películas que yo hago o las películas que me gustaría hacer cambiaran o ayudaran a transformar esta sociedad en la que vivimos.
¿Que te novia? What is he saying?
You're my boyfriend.
No. No, she's all yours.